Milwaukee jury has acquitted a former police officer in the fatal shooting of Sylville Smith. Dominique Hagan Brown, who is African-American, was charged with first-degree reckless homicide in Smith's gun. Brown and another officer had been pursuing Smith, who was armed, because he was suspected of being involved in a drug deal. Prosecutors argued Hagan Brown had no reason to fire more than one shot at Smith because Smith discarded his weapon. The defense countered that Hagan Brown was following police procedure. How often we've heard that. Now, in the case, of course, Smith's death in August sparked violent unrest in Milwaukee and brought attention to the stark racial divide in that city. After Hagan Brown's acquittal, Smith's sister made an appeal.
Don't give them a reason to take your life. If you can change it, just try to change it. Stop giving them a reason to take your life. Do something different in the community. Try as hard as you can to be peaceful and form unity with each other, period, black or white, because we all bleed the same, we all hurt the same.
Joining us right now from Chicago is David Owens, the attorney for the Smith family. And on the phone from Milwaukee is Fred Royal, president of the Milwaukee NAACP. David, I want to go to you first. During the trial, we heard that the officer initially said that Smith pointed a gun at him. Video showed that was a lie.
Correct. That's not true at all. And we've taken the position that, you know, the entire shooting was completely unjustified. The thing is, when you see the video, the officer gets his car and immediately pulls out his gun and points it at Sylville Smith. He wasn't thinking about any other type of force, use of force whatsoever. And he was out of control.
Have they actually released that video, the full video from the police officer's angle?
I believe that it was released, you know, kind of quietly yesterday, as after the acquittal. A lot of the information was released, but during the trial, it was, you know, there was a news camera taking a picture of a picture, and so it was released in that way. And you know, the thing that you see with the video is it's an execution on the street.
David, one of the points that I consistently make, people often say, well, typically it's a white police officer, an African-American. I say whether it's black or whether it's white, at the end of the day, what happens in courtrooms comes down to blue, and that is blue of the police department.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a situation where the privilege of a police officer, you know, is what trumped all things. This is where that was the most significant. The officer who shot and killed Philando Castillo is a Hispanic officer. But you know, there's an important thing here, and I think it's a really important part of our message, which is criminal justice. That is the highest type of situation, right? You got to be guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. But look, that's not the only thing. Somebody could violate somebody's constitutional rights. That's a lower standard. But
also violating constitutional rights, that would be the case if there are federal civil rights charges filed against somebody, as opposed to what happens in criminal court.
Absolutely.
So has the DOJ, are they investigating this case? Have they weighed in at all?
Well, I don't think this DOJ will prosecute any police officers for any rights violations, but that's because we have what I believe is a racist and evil attorney general.
But David, had the previous Department of Justice weighed in on this particular case?
No, they had not. But you know what? Yesterday we filed a civil rights lawsuit against the city of Milwaukee and against this officer. And you know what we intend to show in that lawsuit is that it was the city of Milwaukee's policies and practices that led to this. This officer should have never been on the street.
Got it. David Owens, we appreciate it. David Owens, attorney for the Smith family, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Let me quickly go to Fred Royal, president of the Milwaukee NAACP. Fred, any next steps? Has the city made it clear that are they going to make any changes to police procedure?
Well, we are certainly leading in that conversation. We're bringing in Michael Scott on Monday to talk about how to deeper infuse problem-oriented policing into the practice system policies of the Milwaukee Police Department. As you know, problem-oriented policing looks at the problems that drive people into criminogenic behavior versus just ticketing individuals and looking at them as potential criminals.
And obviously this sparked lots of protest, and here you had a black cop and the person who was shot and killed was African American. And like I said earlier, this comes down to blue.
Absolutely, it comes down to blue, but you know, I think there's a good book out by the name by the author James Foreman that discusses the dynamics within our own community, that we have implicit biases against our own that we need to look at.
All right, then. We certainly appreciate it, Fred. Thank you so very much for joining us.
Weekdays on TV One.
I will never lie to you.
Oh, my God.
Roland Martin.
He doesn't want to talk to us. He wants to ignore us.
Uncensored.
Hell no.
That ain't gonna cut it, boo.
Unapologetic.
No, that is fundamentally false. You are wrong.
Unfiltered.
He wants an America where we all look alike. He ain't talking about black people.
Unrelenting.
You better go work out, because you got a fight on your hands.
NewsOne Now with Roland Martin. Weekdays at 7 a.m. on TV One.